area is starting. X is starting. Sending data. All right. So all three have started now. And I'm going to do the confirmations here. Let me turn on my mask. Sweet. So we got this going. This week is a big week. So yeah, so looking up the most of the automations should be in place. Yeah, hello everybody and good morning. Welcome to the New York Live with IT Trader. IT, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good.
Heard you were back testing for the night.
Yeah. Always have to, you always have to keep improving.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, I was gonna ask you, um, are you following along at all at the any of the fundamentals for this week for for some of the expected releases? Not from the currency side, but from like the administration side, from the US administration side.
No, not really.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of stuff like that, but
Yeah,
definitely I'm a big fan of just the fundamentals for currencies.
right.
Um, the reason why is basically they inject liquidity into the market. Obviously, following the fundamentals when it comes to politics, I don't really, you know, believe in whatever they think they're doing. I don't believe in that. So I just watch their charts and then look at the fundamentals like CPI, rate announcement,
Yeah,
those things. The ones, the political ones, yes, they may move price, but I think they'll be on a manipulation perspective.
okay, yeah, makes
Yeah,
sense.
it just come in, hit the market, and then it move it quickly, and then probably die out.
Right,
But the numbers, because they have everything to do with the currencies, obviously it can affect the market in the long term. So I'm interested in that.
right.
Not
Yeah,
really
one of
interested in the actual numbers, but the days that it will be released. So I know
right.
that there's going to be a big move.
Yeah. I'm really interested in how gold is being affected by this stuff, right? Uh
Mhm.
I'm wondering if that's gonna be something that's gonna continue to run bullish or if it's also gonna bounce back. I'm interested to see the outcome, right?
Um,
Um,
yeah, I guess you're right.
some of because some of those things they have longer term repercussions, especially on commodity, right?
hmm
Um, but totally yeah, the currency markets I think yeah have more chance of rebounds. But the commodities sometimes and even with the coins too, right? Um, it's just yeah, I'm still a little what's it called? I have suspicious, right?
About the
So
coins.
yeah, well, like you said, like the manipulation in general, right? So just I'm suspicious at taking any when you mentioned last week about and the week before about how there's we're right especially for like BTC that we're in a range right now, right? So essentially, as long as we stick in the range and like it should be safe, but at the same time not to have any one any not to take any real side yet, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So I'm just saying I'm suspicious as to for any kind of even any momentum, right? That any large volatility that happens in either
Yeah.
direction, and I'm just like, oh, yeah,
I mean, if anything should happen, right? That's why I always talk about the big picture, because the big
right,
picture is where big money is always watching, right? And sometimes the big picture doesn't really change much. It takes a lot to change the big picture. Okay, so
yeah,
when we look at the big picture, yes, it's bullish, but what they can do is manipulate it to the downside to get everybody off it, and then it will continue going up. So, from the big picture perspective, Bitcoin being the biggest one will continue going up without a doubt, but maybe it will shake some people off it before it does, which you
yeah,
can see it did it like last week, right? It went down, clean out some lows, and then now back into that range. So
yeah,
um, if we can go straight to the chart, and then maybe I can talk about stuff like that, because we need to
yeah,
understand what is happening on the big time frame always. That can give you an idea of, even if there's going to be, the news events that you were talking about with the politics and
right,
stuff, you have an
yeah,
idea what it's going to do based on a higher time frame perspective, and then just be aware if anything starts going lower, then it's just manipulation. So you can buy it cheaper and then they will send it up for you.
so yeah, looking forward to starting the week off uh with your analysis. It's always uh, a pleasure.
Awesome. Sorry, I didn't get enough sleep. I
Yeah.
didn't get enough sleep. So pardon me if I'm yawning. And I didn't do my meditation yet this morning. So
Oh.
yeah, but
We can
I'm
do it
good.
now. Yeah.
I'm good. I mean, I do it every day. So um, even if I don't do it in the morning, I'll do it after the session. So it's all good. Um, so if there's nothing left, let me jump onto the chat and then
Awesome.
we can begin. Is the music okay?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, cool. Um, let's begin. Give me 1 second. Let me turn off my Telegram before I start getting any notifications. All right. So we're starting with the dollar index. So my bias for the dollar index still remains lower. I'm still expecting lower prices, and it boils back down to what we were just discussing, right? That the higher time frame is always going to be king. But before we even understand the high time frame, we need to understand a few um, kind of algorithmic principles when it comes to price itself. And last week or 2 weeks ago, I did speak about the nature of fractals, right? And based on how the big picture is looking like on the monthly, they took out a previous month high, which is over here, right? They took out a previous month high. Let me go to the monthly so you can see that. So they took out that previous month high and then rejected. Now, I can't wait for us to move into holders only so I can talk more about stuff, because I don't want to give everything out. If not, the holders are not going to get value for being part of the community. That's why I'm holding back a lot of maybe stuff. But there is something that happened after price went above the previous month high, right? When it went above it and rejected, something happened. And because of that, it's mostly going to go and attack the previous month low, which is here, right? Now with that, we can go back to the lower time frame and see how price is behaving over here, and then still have the frame of mind that price is going to come and attack this low regardless of whatever news is going to be released. Okay, so again, it goes back to what we were saying earlier. If you understand the higher time frame, it doesn't matter what the politicians are going to do. It doesn't matter what the news or even the numbers that I'm expecting for the week. It doesn't matter what it's going to do, right? All it's going to do is just basically, if it's going up, it's a manipulation. So you find a key level that price might trade to, and then you expect it to reject as soon as it reaches that level. So for example, this week, from the daily perspective, we are traded inside this fair value gap, right? And that might be it. We don't expect it to go higher than that. If it does go up, then it might be reaching for a H4 fair value gap, which is up here. And then ultimately, since the goal of price for this month is to attack January's low, it can play around, okay, up in here, and then probably the last week of February, it will make a quick dive to attack this low. That's why it's important to read price, or it's important to look at price on a daily close basis, because when the daily closes, and then it gives you more information as to what is going to happen next, right? So today being Monday, how much today closes will give us more information as to whether we will be aiming down here. Sorry, let's look at previous week. We'll be aiming for this low this week, or we will not be. So if we expect this low to be taken, then we need to start driving down, leaving H4 imbalances. So as it stands, you can see we have this imbalance in here, which is kind of holding price. So for price to reach for this low, then we need to create an imbalance on the H4 on the downside. We need to create a fair value gap on the downside, or a bearish fair value gap, something like this. Until we get that, then price is potentially gonna keep making high highs on the H4, not on the daily, on the H4. Okay. So this week, that is what I'm expecting. We do have CPI news on Wednesday at 1:30, and that's gonna kind of affect the market big time. So that's probably going to be the move of the week. So what I'll be expecting is either they're gonna use that CPI to send price to attack this low and potentially that low, or if they send it up, then we watch this fair value gap up here. You watch this fair value gap up here, and then we'll be expecting them to reject and go lower. Can it reach up there? Yes, it can, and then still be valid to come down here. And yeah, this is the previous month low. Okay, so let's see how today is gonna close, and then we can, moving forward, have an idea what price is going to do. Now, quickly, I know I usually go on to the crypto market after I've done all the currencies and gold and other stuff, but I want us to look at cryptos quickly, because I'm expecting, last week I spoke about how I wanted the week to end, and some of them did give me what I was looking for. So Solana actually ended up rejecting the previous week low. So I think last week, I remember I said I was giving a trade idea to a friend,
to go and attack that equal high. I think that might be the case for this week. So on Solana, I'm expecting them to go for 22.0 or 220.09. That's what I'm expecting for this week. And I feel like we might start doing it from today. Okay, because it doesn't need to manipulate to the downside for this week. Okay, it doesn't need any sort of market opening dropping to go up. It doesn't need that. So we might end up having Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday making its way for that high, and then depending if we can stay above it, then we can start looking for continuation to the upside. But we want to see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday trading up. So this is the beginning of the week, right? The opening price. This is the opening price, right? We want to see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday making its way up to that previous week high. And then once we get there, we will decide, or price is going to decide whether it's going to reject income lower or it's going to stay above it. So Solana is a good candidate for a potential run to 220. This one here. Okay. And I think last week I gave, like I said, a trade idea. The entry was around, let me double check. I actually wrote it down. The entry was around, oops. Just give me 1 second. Okay. So the entry was around 200.16. So 200.16 was the entry. And then the stop loss was around 191.59. So it's the same thing here, right? Yeah, 16. And then the stop loss was around 191. Whilst the target was this equal high, which is the 220.09. So that's what I'm kind of expecting on Solana this week. I definitely don't want to see them come back below this down candle here. So the down candle over here, in terms of just a little bit modification, this down candle that comes in at 194.00, that's the protection. We want to see them take price to that equal high without trading through this down candle. Okay, so as long as we're above this down candle here, price is going to make its way for that equal high. Okay, and then another good candidate for potential buy, I think Bitcoin also rejected the previous week low, right? So you want to see them go and attack that previous week high. I think I've got too many lines on there. Okay, so that previous week high comes in at 102,595.96. That's where I think price is gonna go for this week. Again, the down candle over here is going to be our protection. We don't want to see them go below that. Right? It did stab into it on Sunday and then quickly rejected. Let me hide this. And you can see they've kind of created a fair value gap over here. So that's a good thing. We want to expect them to key off from creating or continuously create these gaps, or even if they form a down candle, we want them to close above it and then send price higher. Okay, so based on what I was saying last week, that the daily doesn't make sense. Okay, we need we need the weekly to give us something so we can key off from that. And it's based on the fact that like I said, once we take out a low, we will need to take out a high. Now, if we come back below this down candle, then I think we will have an aggressive run to go down. Okay, if we come back below this down candle, which comes in at 96,100 and 96,049. Okay, that down candle, right? If we trade through it, then I'm gonna expect a quick sudden run for this low. Okay, so it's very, very important that this down candle holds. So if for whatever reason, I'm giving you the reason why, if the up movement does not work, then it will be as of a result that they will trade through this down candle. Okay, so if you see that happening, then forget price going up here. Right? And I don't know, maybe something can come into the market and then do that, and I might not be here to give you that update. So I'm just telling you now, this down candle here, if we lose that, then there will be a quick sudden move. It's going to be a big down candle. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but I'm just, prompting you in case such thing happens, that we trade through this down candle, then forget buying and then probably sell to attack this previous week low. And it will be that candle that I always talk about, that special candle that takes out a low, which was meant to go and take out a high. Okay. Ethereum, I think I've said it several times. Let's just move on, because it's not the best one to be looking at right now. Hype, same thing. I think down here is the best to look for the buy. Maybe when we hit the 75, based on the range, the 75 level, that's where you can start looking for your potential buy. As it stands, like I said, when it's inside this area or this quadrant, just leave it alone, because you're not gonna get any joy taking any day trade or scalp. It's not a good thing. You wanna buy down here or you wanna sell up there. And as it stands, based on the monthly, this has created an inside candle. So it's likely going to take out the previous month low and then go up, or they're going to take out the high and then come back down. Okay, so again, it's still the range that I've just drawn here. They might come all the way down and take out the low, or go all the way up and then take out the high. Okay, so let's see. As long as this range stands, they will keep bouncing up and down. So just be aware and don't have too much hopes for bigger moves. Ripple couldn't, unfortunately, reject the previous week low. So I would say stay away from Ripple for now, because it didn't give what I would want to use for a potential trade for the week. I couldn't reject the previous week low. So if you're day trading, scalping, even swing trading, I'll say sit and wait, because they couldn't reject the previous week low. If you want to trade it, at least let them close above the previous day's high, then you can look for a day trade for the next day. So for example, if today can close above Sunday, then tomorrow, on Tuesday, you can look for a potential buy, to trade towards the previous week high, but don't have high hopes that it's going to take out that previous week high. It can, because obviously we are bullish from the higher time frame perspective, but again, I don't like speculating like that. Okay? I want pure confirmation. So you can take a trade towards the high, but don't expect the high to be taken. maybe, I don't know, let me go to the daily over here. If they can close above, let's say this high, then a day trade, that's this high here, okay? If they can close above it, then a day trade to here, this small gap in here, that will be a kind of in the realm of possibilities. And then maybe 50% of this wick, that is also within the realms of possibilities, because that will bring us very close to this candle, okay? And then you leave it alone. If they can go all the way up and close above the previous week high on a daily basis, then we can start looking for higher prices. So for us to resume going up, or for us to be confident, okay, it's all about confidence. For us to be confident that price is going up, we will need at least a daily close above the previous week high. That will be the minimum. Until we get that, I don't think Ripple will be going. It will go up, don't get me wrong, in the long term, but in the medium term or short term, it's not. Okay, so unless we get that daily close above it, then we can start obviously looking for this equal high, and then the manipulation that we projected down here. We actually have some now here, so we can project this new one, because those are down candles. You can project them to the upside, but I won't do that now because I want the confirmation first. So let's see if they can go above the previous week high, then we can look for that. And then finally, my favorite, which I've been hanging on it for a long time, is the AI16Z, right? I think yesterday, that's one of the things that I was actually looking into in terms of the fundamentals. I tried my best to try and find out exactly what this is doing, and I did find out some good information about it. So I'm really confident that in the long term this thing will go up. Okay, I'm really confident that in the long term this thing is gonna go up, and where we are is very, very cheap in terms of price, because we are in discount, deep discount, very, very cheap. Okay, so like I said, as long as you're buying below 0.5, you're good. If you buy above 0.5, you're good, but that's expensive. Okay, so anywhere below 0.5, it's still okay, right? Even if it comes to 20, it would have been better for them to come to 20. That would have been extremely cheap, but I don't know. I don't think they might come back there. Looking at how the day is moving so far, I don't think they might come there, because they've actually closed above a level over here on the H4. This was a gap on the daily that was meant to form, and price rejected it, struggled to go up, struggled to go up, struggled to go up, and now they're above it. Now I'm not a classic support and resistance trader, but this is actually a gap that price was meant to hold. Let me go to the lower time frame so you can see. Oops. Over here, this gap, that's what price was meant to hold, to send price lower. So this was the last gap, the most important gap for price to hold, to send price lower. And you can see they kept coming back to it several times, and now we are above it. And you can see over here, it's now acting as support. So I want to see them stay above that gap, and then we make our way for that previous week high. Now, if we can get above it on a daily close basis, because now what I'm anticipating is basically a breaker here. I'm expecting this. up candle to become the breaker. So today or tomorrow, preferably today, I want to see them go aggressively and attack that previous week high, and it will give us a gap over here, and then that will become a breaker, and then we will start making our way up to the monthly opening price and potentially back up again. Okay, so AI16, if you did not buy whilst we were down here, you'll be buying an expensive price, but it's better than buying above the previous week high. Okay, so where we are now, maybe they might drop into this gap here. Which comes in at 0.40963. They might drop in there, and then price will resume going up. I've got a lot of lines. Let me get rid of some of them. Okay, so these are the most important levels. Right, this gap, that one, and then looking for price to go for that previous week high. Okay, so the reason why I wanted to do the cryptos first is because maybe by the time I finish, they would have run away, and it might give some of you an opportunity to get in before it does. Because I think Mondays, if we are not going to go lower, then we should start screaming higher. Okay, so that is that for the crypto market. Now we can go back to the currencies. All right, so back to the currencies. Okay, I've got about 30 minutes to go. I was going to explain how I got a demo trade, and I'm not a fan of trading on Mondays, but because I was up and alive watching what was happening, I decided to take a trade on Euro based on what I'm going to show to you now, right? So I think last Friday I talked about how we want price to reject this high, right? Now the daily gap, which is this one here, is still valid as long as we don't close above it. So Friday started the rejection, and then today we can see we went up a little bit more, and then we were getting the rejection. That's a good thing, okay, because they can use their wicks to do the damage, but the body will stay inside it. What I would want to see today is for this candle to reject all of that and then come back below this high, because that's the higher high that I said price should reject, right? That's what I want to see going forward today. Now, overnight, when price was up here, I anticipated that they're not going to close above it, so there's going to be a rejection. Now, remember, I said something. When you're looking at price, okay, there's always going to be a form of an extreme level where you can anticipate a potential buy or sell happening. And basically, I use the word location. Okay, so the location of price, when you're expecting a buy or sell to come in, then you're going to start anticipating the sell pattern or how smart money comes into the market, right? You know the pattern by now. So I'm just going to drop down to the 1 hour time frame and I'll show it to you. So overnight, they did send price up here with this 1, 2, 3 up candles with a fair value gap, okay, into this area. Now, I'll talk more about it in future. So once price hit that level and then it started rejecting, I only drop down to the M15. And then on M15, remember I said you can use any time frame as long as you know what you're looking for. So I dropped down to the M15, and the same pattern was on M15. Ignore this up candle here and then focus on these 2 sorry, ignore this down candle, focus on these two up candles with the down candle and that fair value gap. The moment this candle closed, this one, it closed through the gap. That was it. Price was gonna go down and break even the 1 hour gap, because we are coming off from a level that I have anticipated we are not gonna go beyond it. Okay, we are inside that daily fair value gap. So once that candle closed, that was it. That was a potential scalp that could have led to a day trade, and even if what I'm expecting comes to fruition, then it might even turn into a swing trade, because like I said, I'm expecting price to come for this low. Okay, so what I did was, as soon as this candle closed, I went on to euro and I was watching euro, and that was right here. The opposite of what the dollar index was doing was right here. So I entered upon that closure on dollar. I entered long on this candle, but I was not looking for any big targets, because I was just trying to catch the closure of this, and also I only had 2 to 1. That's what I did. So I entered long here with my stop loss there, and then I think 2 to 1 was I'm going to show you the execution anyway. Oops. So let me show you the execution. Right. So I entered long here and then got out there. I got 2 to 1. I'm sorry, 1 to 1. My bad. 1 to 1. And I also took it on a funded account, and I did the same thing, just 1 to 1. And I woke up to see that price has taken my profit, because I went to bed around 7 a.m. So I didn't see none of this. If I was awake at this time, I probably would have bought this one as well, because that gave the 1 hour entry. It only gave a 1 hour entry here, because the entry that I took was based on the 15 minutes, and this was the 1 hour entry. Okay, so going forward, I would want to see today give me a potential like rejection below previous day's low. By the time we close, the same thing, it will give you the opposite of dollar. It will give you a run above previous day's high. Then tomorrow you'll expect a low to be taken, right? So if today can close as it is, then tomorrow you can expect a down candle, or at least a move to attack previous day low. Okay, and that's what you're gonna be watching for today. If today closes as it is, tomorrow you're gonna be anticipating at least minimum a run to the previous day's low, which is Monday's low. Okay, but there's a lot of time, so today will close. Go about, it's now 1:40, so we go about, I put on the daily, we've got 10 hours and 19 minutes to go before the day will close. So in the next 10 hours 19 minutes, we'll find out if this candle will close above, reject, or even come all the way back down. Okay, so let's wait and see. That will be the same for euro. So we wait for how euro is going to close. Same thing, we wait for how British pound is going to close. Do we reject this low? Because based on what I'm seeing, I think we should resume going back up on the British pound. So again, we wait and see how we're going to close for the day, and then we can start looking for a buy. Now on the weekly, we've run both the high and the low. Okay, so sometimes when price does that, we have to refer back to the big time frame, because on that time frame it's not going to be of use. We have taken out the high and then the low, and based on that, you cannot tell whether it's going to go and attack the high or go and attack the low. So you have to change time frame. And then based on this time frame, where we at, we're supposed to be at least going for the previous month high based on what has happened on the weekly. What has happened on the weekly is they've closed in a gap on the left and then created one on the right. So the gap on the right is going to hold and take us higher. And what is the most easiest price level for price to reach for? All that price is doing is taking the highs and lows. So the easiest level is going to take out the high over there. So that level is what price will go for, as long as this gap here stays open. Okay, they only worked it and rejected. So as long as that gap stays open, then we'll be expecting them to go and attack that previous month high. Okay, and then we can start monitoring it on a day-to-day basis. So if today closes as it is, then tomorrow at least we can get a day trade to go up. Wednesday will be the big day. Wednesday is the CPI, so that is going to make or break. It's going to make or break what I'm saying, whether we go up or we will not go up. Wednesday will determine that, because that CPI news most of the time is very, very volatile, and it can cause a lot of problems for traders out there. Okay, so Aussie, same thing. The narrative is we've rejected the previous month low aggressively, so we should aim for that previous month high, which is January's high. Based on the daily, I think we only gapped down into a fair value gap over here. That's a big gap. I actually didn't look at this pair overnight for reasons that I don't know. I was just too focused on on the euro and then the dollar index and other pairs that I was looking at. It wasn't one of those that I was actually paying attention. The one that I was paying attention to was Aussie CAD, and I was watching this fair value gap. If we can close above it, which looks like we are going to, then I think we'll resume going up. And turn down the music, too loud. Okay, so watch Aussie CAD. Now, if we can close above that gap currently on the H4, because I'm expecting that H4 to close. If we can close above it, then I think we can start looking for higher prices on Aussie CAD and New Zealand CAD. You choose which one you want. Okay. So Aussie dollar, same thing. We're expecting them to go for that high. Just be patient, let today close, and then we can get more confirmation as to whether we continue going up or not. If today closes as it is, that would be a nice thing, because they've closed in the weekly opening gap. I'm not a big fan of that when we gap down or gap up, but if they can close above it here, I think I learned, ICT taught this as he calls it counterport. Okay, ICT calls it counterport. So counterport is when you have a price direction, whether price is going up or down. So in this case, price is going up. So if we are going up and price will gap down, okay, price is going up and then we gap down and then price goes back above it, okay, then price will come back and then shoot up. That's what he calls counterport. And then if we are going lower, then price will gap up, it will close here, and then it will gap up, and then it will trade through the gap. So this will act as resistance, and it will come back up and then shoot it down. Okay, so that's what we have here. The fact that we gap down, we're expecting higher prices. We gap down, and then we trade through the gap, closing above it. Anytime we come back to that gap, then it should support price and then take price higher. And that's what ICT terms as counterport. I don't know why he comes up with some weird names, but anyway, the logic is what counts. The name, forget about it. So I'll be expecting them to shoot up to this high, and then obviously that it go high. So again, expect higher prices. New Zealand, I think that is also the same idea based on the weekly. Okay, they've taken out that previous month low, so expect them to take price higher. Now, I think last week I also mentioned that the fact that they've taken out that low, it means that the crosses or the New Zealand and the Aussie, they are going to gain some strength, and you can trade the Euro Aussie, Euro New Zealand, Pound Aussie, and Pound New Zealand, right? So you can go back and watch last week's session, and I was saying something about Euro Aussie, Euro New Zealand, Pound Aussie, and Pound New Zealand. The fact that they took a previous month low and rejected aggressively, this will gain more strength than the Euro not taking out the low, than the Pound not taking out that low. Okay. And lo and behold, I think I gave a trade idea on this pair last week over here that we were going to come, and I think the trade idea was there. We were going to come and attack this low and that low, and then we will continue going lower to this area. We're going down to this area here. Okay, so as it stands, that's where we're going. This week, the fact that we've opened and we started going down, that's not a good idea for lower prices for the week. Hence, this is the level that I'm watching. Okay, I don't know, maybe the news event, the the CPI might send price up before going lower. Remember, if we are bearish, we don't want price to go down straight away when the week starts. That is a red flag that price might come back up during the course of the week. So this is the level that I want you to pay attention to. Is actually this last up candle here, and within that there is a fair value gap on the 1 hour. We also have this down candle, which was an auto block. So there's a lot of confluence in that, this area here. There's a lot of confluence in the ideal level within all that area is that fair value gap. So I don't recommend chasing it right now. Leave it alone, let it do its thing. This is where I think price is going. If we start seeing a potential retracement, then this is where you want to anticipate price coming to, because that's the only, I would say, quote unquote, reference point that is still yet to be touched, because this one is not a good one. They've already touched it, so ignore that. This is the best, and then you can look for price to continue going lower from there. Okay, now that does not mean you cannot trade it. If today closes bearish, you can attempt, okay, listen closely, you can attempt to sell, because obviously the algorithm will continue sending price lower based on the daily, but because of how the power of 3, the weekly profile, because of how it trades, you need to just be aware that if you start seeing that your sell is not playing out, then there's a high probability they might be coming back up. Okay, so tomorrow you can actually look for a sell, but don't have too much hopes for that sell to continue going down. Just the fact that they went lower first. Okay, and that's, you know, some of the things that when I start teaching my private students, they get confused. Okay, why so many, why there's so many variables? Well, if you want to be a, you know, technical analyst and a trader at the same time, you need to be open to whatever price is going to do, right? Because it can do both. It can keep going down based on the daily time frame, but at the same time, it can pull back up based on the weekly profile. Which one? It's going to depend, especially with that down candle on the daily over here, right? you need to be open to the idea, because this down candle was an auto block and it took price up. So they can key off from something within that auto block and then start sending price up. And Monday going down again, that's a red flag, but it can't keep going down. So if I was trading this, which I am going to be, I'll look for a gap to form today on the H4. If that forms today, then definitely I'll use that gap as a point of reference to look for a trade idea to continue going down. But if they don't form a gap, like currently there's no gap, then I won't trade tomorrow looking for a sell. It doesn't matter whether it's dropping. I'm not chasing that, and you're not supposed to. If they had an up candle and then price moved down like here, then yes, you can use that, because you always want to have a point where you'll be wrong. If they have a gap, I can use that gap as where I'll be wrong, and that's what you're supposed to be doing as well. And if they don't have a gap, then obviously there's no protection. Price can just go up to the next relevant level, which I think is up here. Okay, so if you want to take a trade on this, sit on your hands, let them create a gap today, or let them go, and then if it reaches this point, that's fine. You don't get a trade. There's so many other pairs that will offer you a trade idea. Okay, the same thing applies to this pair. I think he's going to reach for this gap. Actually, it's on the weekly. This one. Okay, I think they're going to go for that one. So the same thing, treat it similar to what I just said with your Aussie. Pound cat, we'll watch this up candle. If they can go above it, resume going up, we'll be looking for this equal high, this high and that high. So watch this up candle right here. If they can close above it, then we will start, I'll personally start getting another entry to resume going up again. Okay. I also got a nice trade last week based on what I shared with you all. I sold short up here and then closed mine down here, and I should have held on to some of it because I think they will run for these equal lows over here. It's similar to Euro Aussie. Don't chase what is happening now. Okay, don't chase what is happening now because of this gap here. And last week I said when we have a low, price will usually come close to it, bounce, and then ultimately take it. So don't chase it. Let them give you a pullback. Ideally, to this candle. So pound Aussie, watch for a potential. If they can pull back up here, that's when you look for a sell. Or based on what I've just shared, let them leave a gap or an up candle as it's moving lower, and then use that as a reference point. And then you can look for continuation to the downside. What else? Okay, let's go to gold. So gold, we spoke about this candle be a reaccumulation candle. Friday, I was very, very surprised how price moved because I was expecting them to use the NFP to close above this so we can get a green candle, and then today would have given us a nice trade idea to go up. However, that wasn't the case. Now, look at how today's candle has traded so far. It makes this candle a special candle. Okay, it makes this candle a special candle. The fact that it rejected that previous day's high and we never went for a previous day's low, it makes this a special candle. And what makes it special is because price going up to close above it is a sign that all this move down, this one here, all this move down was all manipulation. It wasn't like a sell. That was like manipulation. If it was a sell, then it should have gone and attacked the next day attack this low or even that low. The fact that we came back above it means this whole move was a manipulation. So Friday's NFP was all manipulation, nothing else. All right. So we will resume going up. Let me see how many we've printed so far. Okay. Okay. So we might end this week as an up candle. We might end this week as an up candle, and then next week I'll probably stay away from buys because they might print the first reaccumulation, because this whole area was a bunch of accumulation going on in there. Okay, so it might print. I'll be surprised if they do it this week, but it's still within the realms of possibilities. But on the daily time frame, I don't think that might be the case. Hence, I want to see today close as it is, tomorrow an up candle, and then maybe Wednesday a pullback. And that will probably will give you a sign that next week we're going to have a potential down candle. Okay, so I'm bullish on gold. I'm expecting them to continue going up. Just be mindful, don't chase it, because we've printed up candles. We don't buy when it's printing up candles like that. So if you want to buy, wait for a down candle to form, let them go above it, then you have protection. Okay, so as it stands, don't chase what is happening. Wait for a down candle to form, let them go back above it, and then buy. Or if you see it retracing back inside this, that's the low, that's the high, then you can buy inside 618 to 70 or 79 retracement level, and then look for the buy, which will bring you somewhere like this area here. I like that area. Don't buy this gap because it's above 50%. Look somewhere here. Okay, that's where the ideal level to buy is. Crude oil. Let's go to the daily. We are kind of getting what I'm looking for. We had Friday closing as an up candle, and then today rejecting. Remember, I said we don't want to see them go any lower than where we are. So this is a good sign that we're going up. On the H4, we've gone above this up candle. Now, it's not the best rejection in the world. I would have preferred the move to be without these down candles and just aggressively go above it. But it is what it is. So we're going to key off from this as a breaker and then expect them to now start going higher. All right. So crude oil might start resuming going up. So we have this up, down, down, 2. Then we're getting the rejection. On the weekly time frame, that's enough. We've had 1, 2, 3 down candles, and this gap, as I mentioned, was supposed to hold, and it's holding. So I want to see this week go all the way up, if possible, back above previous week high. Okay, it's within the realms of possibilities, and it will start with today closing as it is. If today closes as we are, tomorrow I'll expect a big candle, or they might use the DPI to give us a big candle on this. Okay, so right now on the H4, your protection is going to be this down candle and then this gap. We have a down candle here and a gap here, and then this up candle. So we have a lot of support to take us higher. This down candle, this gap. So in terms of stop loss, I would, if you're looking for that long time to go all the way back up here, then placing a stop loss below this this up candle low, that'll be enough, because if they can go through this gap, this will be taken anyway. So why put it here? And protect yourself there, and then expect them to continue going higher. If you're looking for a day trade, wait for today to close, and then you can trade tomorrow. But if you are like me, who wants to hold it for the next 2-3 weeks or even 4 weeks, then where we are is enough, because we are still in discount. Remember, we just didn't want to buy as it was falling down. We needed a bit of confirmation, and that confirmation comes in here. Okay, so buying that and then leaving the stop here, that's enough, and then we can start holding it, not for the short term. Maybe you're holding it for 2-3 weeks, right? And then we'll see in the next 2-3 weeks where price will be. Okay, and then finally, ES. So ES, it actually gapped down over the weekend to stop me out on my trade that I had on here, but I actually had a buy limit somewhere in there, so it got kicked in, not on this chart, on my other, as a funded account. Let me put it that way. I got kicked in here, so I'm still aiming for that equal high. I've not changed the bias. This basically is a complex pullback, right? This is the low, this is the high, this is all just complex pullback. This is where it needs to go. So everything happening in here is just manipulation. So we happen to gap down. I'm expecting them to resume going up. Let me remove all this. Okay, so the continuation for today will be if we can go above this up candle. Right now, maybe we might face a bit of resistance in here. I don't recommend buying today. Not the best ideal level to be looking for a buy, because this looks like a very high probability order block within the context of a complex pullback. So I wouldn't recommend you buying facing this last up candle, right? So just leave buying on ES today alone, unless you bought somewhere down here like I did. Where we are now, not a good idea, and I don't recommend selling either. You can sell if you want, maybe wait for a confirmation, so wait for a sell pattern to form at this up candle. If it forms, then obviously you can trade it. If it doesn't, then you don't have any trade. Don't buy either. Okay, so let's wait if you are not already in, and then tomorrow maybe you'll get more confirmation that we'll be resuming to go above this equal high, this high, and that high. All right, let's go back to the cryptos, and this is why I was rushing to give you the update on the cryptos first, because if not, it would have been too late. Anyway, that's all for now. Mr. Igor?
There. Hey there.
Yeah.
Nice. Sweet session. Yeah, so we'll be back with SP DOS for 9:30 New York Part 2. Thanks for tuning in, and yeah, IT, always a pleasure.
All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.
Take care.